Hey, how we doing? I'm coming to you today, kind of casual, kind of informal. This is not really a lesson. This is just some good advice that I give all of my students when they come to the teaching studio, whether they've been playing for 5 minutes, 5 years, or 5 decades. I tell them all the very same thing. This is not going to happen overnight, okay? You have to have patience. I teach my kids, I call them my kids no matter how old they are, the three P's: patience, persistence, and perseverance. Patience. It's going to take a long time. You're not going to get good overnight. No matter what those ads you see on Facebook or YouTube, no matter what those videos say, learn music theory in 15 minutes. That's a lie. You know that's a lie. Okay? It's going to take patience. You got to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to hear yourself going from playing really crappy one day to really well the next. It's not how it works. It's a process. Okay? Persistence. I'm going to give you some of the lessons I've already given you, things like bending strings and vibrato. You're not going to be perfect at them the very first time you do them. It may take months before you think you've really got a handle on it. Persistence. Keep doing it. Keep trying those little exercises that I give. Okay, keep trying them. I tell that to my students, especially when we get at some point, every student winds up getting to the point where I teach them scales. And scales, there's a lot of really cool stuff in why I teach scales. Scales are such a great technique builder overall. Even simple one octave scales, done repeatedly, can really improve your playing quite a bit. Perseverance. I remember years ago when I was trying to learn Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson. That was almost a year long. The guys in my band, we had already done a couple of different Joe Satriani instrumentals. I'd done a couple other instrumentals, things that I'd written, and the bass player piped up one day and he's like, "Man, we ought to do Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson." And I just looked over at him and said, "Really? Who are you going to hire to play guitar?" I ain't doing it. I had the tablature for it, and literally it looked like someone just splattered paint all over the page. Didn't look like tablature, it looked like paint splatters, little droplets of paint everywhere. It was a year-long process. The band that I was in at the time, we wound up breaking up before I actually finished learning it. The band broke up, and I still wanted to finish. Perseverance. I wanted to get through um, the whole thing, and at that point, it was just to say I'd done it for personal satisfaction. There's no one stupid trick. You click on those, and you know what they are. They're clickbait. That's all. You'll see that one stupid trick to earn $1 million. It's BS. Okay. The only thing that's true about that little headline is stupid. It's stupid, and you're stupid if you click on it. It's not going to happen overnight. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It was at least 10 years into playing. I was 10 years in. I was in the army at the time, I believe. I was 10 years in before I actually considered myself good. Like, I sat back and listened to myself play one day and thought, "Wow, I did that really well. I may actually have an aptitude for this. I may have a knack for this. I should probably keep going." Another little analogy that I give my students is you have a switch in your brain, up in your brain somewhere. And there comes a point when you're learning to play guitar when you have to make a decision. Am I going to do this for the rest of my life? And if so, am I willing to put in the time and the work? And it takes time and work, hard work. Okay. Um, you physically have to make that decision. At some point, you're going to reach in and you're going to flip that switch, or you're just going to ignore it, and guitar will be a hobby. When you flip that switch, guitar goes from being a hobby to a lifestyle. I made that switch fairly early on when I started playing. This is another reason why we're kind of informal today. You will never, ever see me have a cigarette in my hand when I'm teaching, ever. But we're just having a conversation. I want this to be like me sitting across from you, telling you that don't give up. No matter how disgusted you get with your own playing, no matter how disappointed you are by not being able to do a specific thing, or difficulty in learning a song. I know all about that. I know all about disappointment. I know all about frustration. I know all about disgust with my own ability. I've been there, but I didn't let it destroy what I had already built up to that point. I took that, a lot of times, I would take that anger and that frustration at my own playing, turn it into fuel to get better. That's what you should do with it too. Don't let it destroy what you've already learned. Use it as fuel to force you to get better. If you honestly think that I sat down and started doing 30 minutes of scales because I wanted to, nope. I sat down and did 30 minutes of scales every day in the morning and every day in the evening because I felt I had to. I had to get better. I had already flipped that switch, and I promised myself that I was going to put in the work. I was going to put in the time. I was going to put in the hours. There's a saying that says if you've done anything for 10,000 hours, you could be considered an expert. Well, I've been doing guitar since I've been playing guitar since I was 17. I've put in way more than 10,000 hours, and I still don't feel like an expert. I know that I'm good. That's the best that I can say for myself, is that I know that I'm good. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm trying to be better than the player I was yesterday. That's all. Guitar is not a competition. It's not a destination. It's a journey. Music in general is a journey. There's no destination. There's no end point where you say, well, I've learned it all. It doesn't work like that. That's not how it goes. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you there are no easy roads. There are no shortcuts. It takes time. It takes hard work. And it takes dedication and determination to tell yourself that you will get better. No matter how bad you're playing right now, you will get better. And that's important. It's so important down the road. You'll get to a point where you know you've learned some really cool stuff, but you want to go to the next level. And you're gonna ask yourself, every player does, I did. Every player does, am I capable of this? The answer always has to be yes. Always. Without exception. The answer has to be yes. Don't give up. Frustration is your number one enemy. Frustration is the enemy of potential, right? And potential is what you have. Say, you've only been playing for maybe a year or 5 years. You've got potential. And the only thing that stands between you and reaching a specific goal is you. Your ability to commit to what you're doing. I know this sounds all new agey and, kind of zen and all that stuff, but I am kind of zen about music. Music's more of a religion than it is an occupation or a pastime or a way of life. It's a religion for me. And my scales are my morning prayers, my evening prayers. That's just what I do every night and every morning. I wake up and I do 30 minutes in the morning of scales. And then before I go to bed, I pick it up, and no matter what I've been doing all day long, I play another 30 minutes of scales. Scales turned into my actual warm-up. When I would go out and play a club, the boys we'd all be set up, and we'd have maybe 30 minutes to go before we start playing. And I would grab my guitar, just unplugged, I'd strap it on, and just walk around the club playing scales silently to myself, knowing that I can't hear what's going on. There's a lot of noise in the club, and there's a jukebox going off. It doesn't matter. It was a relaxation technique. And it also made me feel like, well, I've done something that warmed my hands up, right? I've got my hands warm. But I've also done something that's relaxed me. And relaxation, and there's my little baby girl, Molly, right there, coming in to say hello. Do you mind getting your butt out of the way? That relaxation prepared me for interaction with a crowd. Crowds are unforgiving, ugly things when you're not on your game. Trust me. But confidence comes from repetition. Confidence comes from determination. I was not going to let the fact that I started playing guitar, and first guitarist I ever really wanted to be was Jimmy Page. And then I wanted to be David Gilmour, and then I wanted to be Alex Lifeson from Rush, and then I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen, and then I wanted to be Steve Vai. Those things kept happening over the years, that desire to always get a little bit better. And I didn't let that destroy me. I used that as fuel to help me get better. And I thought that was really, really important. And I want you to just, it's just, don't let frustration kill what you're working on. And here's another little tidbit too. Um, be better than you were yesterday. You heard me say I'm not in competition with anyone apart from who I was yesterday, the player I was yesterday. Can I be a little bit better today? Can I do something I couldn't do yesterday? And the thing is, you need to keep selecting harder and harder things to learn and harder techniques to understand. Um, it's difficult and it's frustrating, but don't let that frustration lead to you putting the instrument down. That's the wrong approach. I've always been kind of a stubborn a-hole, so I'm not going to let frustration bug me. I'm going to use that to my advantage. I turned it into fuel. I turned it into fuel to help me get better. I wanted to be better than I was yesterday. One of the pivotal moments in my life for me is when I finally got up the gumption, the courage to learn the solo from three particularly difficult songs. Okay, one of them was the solo from Hotel California. One was the solo from Stairway to Heaven, and one was Always With Me, Always With You by Joe Satriani. Each step, I learned the solo to Stairway to Heaven. And when I listened to it and played it back and realized, oh my God, I just did it. It took a long time. I did it. I thought, okay, well, now I got to try something a little bit harder. So I picked up Hotel California, one of the most recognizable, coolest guitar solos, honestly, of all time. And that took months. That was a solid maybe 6 months. It took a long time to learn that. And then I learned Always With Me, Always With You by Joe Satriani and realized, wow, I can do this. I can really do this. I have to focus. That's all it requires is focus and dedication. I was dedicated to it. I'll tell you what, man, I was dedicated. So don't give up. That's the wrong thing to do, okay? You're going to talk smack about yourself. You're going to say, oh, I suck at this. I did. I did. For the first 10 years, I didn't really believe I was good. I didn't really believe I was good until I went to an audition one day, and I'd been playing for maybe 20 years by then. I'd been playing a long time, and I was at the top of my game, right? I was really good. I was solid on my scales. My rhythm was perfect. Everything was where I wanted it to be, and I went to an audition. And they gave me a list of 10 songs, and I remember one of them was Barracuda. They had a female singer who was really good. They gave me Barracuda. They gave me a couple other things, and I went in there and laid my thing down and just played the best I could possibly play. And the other guitar player comes over and he leans on me and he goes, dude, are you in the witness protection program? Were you like a rock star that saw a mobster do something bad? Because where have you been? And that was the moment right there that I realized, okay, I am good. I am cut out for this. I really am. That's the best compliment I've ever been paid. Because the guy kept saying, why have we never heard of you? It's because, I never got famous. I'm good, but I never got famous. And famous wasn't what I wanted. Good was what I wanted. That's what you should shoot for. You don't do this for the money, because God knows if you're playing in a bar band, you ain't going to make any. Okay? Be the best musician that you can be and see what happens from there. I know the music industry right now is not focused on talented players. They're not. They're focused on people that look good. That's what they're focused on. But don't worry about that. Be the best player that you can be. And, let your contemporaries judge you. Let your contemporaries judge you. Okay? Don't give up. That's the number one thing. Don't give up. Don't let frustration get the better of you. You are bigger than your fears. You really are, And a lot of times, that's what stops you from going to the next level is fear. Am I going to fail when I get up there? And don't Don't think that. Don't think like that. You know, don't think like that. You don't fail until you quit. Failure is not the end of the journey. It's just one of the stops along the way. Hey man, in the year it took me to learn Cliffs of Dover, I failed constantly. I didn't stop because of it. I didn't stop learning it. I wanted to play it, you know. I've played Satch Boogie and on stage, and I've played Always With Me, Always With You. That's a staple now. Every band I ever joined, you know, you guys got to learn that one because it's just one of my favorite songs to play. It's melodic and it's pretty and it's got some really next level technique in it. So, I mean, it is Joe Satriani after all. Um, Take that frustration, that anger, and turn that into fuel. Turn it into something positive. It doesn't have to destroy you. Don't let the fear keep you from taking the next step. Okay? That's pretty much all for now. I want you to avoid those guys that say, oh, well, you'll learn guitar in 6 weeks. No, you won't. You'll learn some chords maybe in 6 weeks. You might learn some rhythm, but you're not going to be good. You know, guitar is not a destination, it's a journey. Be prepared to go for the long haul. Fill the tank up and, you know, take some snacks. It's going to take a while to get there. Okay? All right, brothers. Peace.